By crook, but we are blessed to be here on another occasion of family. We've all had some similar occasions, similar things we've been through in the Navy, the Marine Corps, and the Coast Guard. We had our wives with us, and they all took care of us and helped us to make it where we are today.
Yes.
So this time I'll go ahead and bless the food and also bless our occasion and not let the spirits overtake us. Amen? Amen. Dear Heavenly Father, Lord, we just thank you for another wonderful day you blessed us with, Lord. Thank us for giving us the opportunity to go to the schools today to impart our lives and to share with our children, Lord, that they may be able to be something one day that they want to be. Just to encourage them, Lord. Lord, we ask you to bless every person that's represented here tonight. Bless the families that are associated with them, Lord. We ask you to bless the food we're about to receive. Use it to nourish our body and uplift your kingdom. Bless the hands that prepared and bless the people that are less fortunate than us all around the world, Lord. Lord, then we ask you to bless our occasion, our gathering, our fellowship here tonight, Lord Jesus, that we renew old friendships and make them stronger. All these things we ask in Jesus' name. And all blessed of the Lord said, Amen. Amen.
So much to be.
Dinner, recognition dinner of the Black Naval Aviators Association. The Black Naval Aviators Association is actually a fairly new entity that we put together in order to make sure we could capture all of those folks who wanted to be a part of the spirit of what we do in terms of getting together, the camaraderie, the friendship, and the community service that we offer when we do come together every couple of years. I'd like to say welcome to all of you, but in particular, Rear Admiral Chambers. Welcome, sir. We're so glad to have you. Miss Pamela Brown Knight, welcome. The granddaughter of Jesse Leroy Brown. I'm sorry, daughter, I said, my bad, sorry. The daughter of it. You know, this morning, talking to the students, there was a young lady there, okay, who had this huge afro, and I kind of looked at her out of the corner of my eye, okay, and I said, okay, and how about you, the next gentleman right here, you, okay? Boy, that was not pretty. I'm still peeling the egg off my face from that one. But I also would like to say howdy, welcome, and thank you for coming to a person that was a mentor to so many of us, and that was the late Captain Charlie Tompkins. His daughter Carolyn is here. Welcome, Carolyn. And you know, there's a lot of firsts in this room, a lot of them. We'd like to take one quick minute and recognize the very first black female pilot in the United States Navy. Brenda Robinson. And to dovetail on how special this gathering is, we also have the very first black female pilot in the United States Marine Corps.
The first black female attack pilot.
Attack, yes. Attack. I mean, we're so fortunate to be so blessed to have so many incredible, you know, I often say that, that your history is our legacy, and it really is, it truly is. In addition, also joining us this evening, we'd like to say a very special thank you to the staff of the Residence Inn who's joining us this evening. They have been absolutely fantastic. As well as to the city of Pensacola. Okay. Thank you for all of the support that you have provided us, sir. Appreciate it there. It's been very meaningful, and we thank you all for it. You know, the very first reunion that we had as a gathering was back in 1996. Okay? But there are a few things that happened before that, and Craig's going to come up. He's going to give you a little bit about that history. But I want to take you back a little bit and kind of take the canvas, okay, for you, okay, and bring out the colors so you guys get a better appreciation for what Craig is going to share with you. Okay? 43 years ago, back in 1982, the Chief of Naval Operations dispatched his EA to Pensacola because the Chief of Naval Admiral Watkins was pretty dissatisfied with the report that he had received that the attrition rate for minorities, African Americans, had reached 65%. And he couldn't understand it. Okay? He could not understand why some of the top engineer graduates in the country, from some of the top institutions throughout the country, okay, athletes, leaders, why they weren't completing a program like aviation. He couldn't figure it out. So he sent the EA down, who came down, and he returned with a laundry list to the Chief of Naval Operations about things that were going on in naval aviation. Okay. From that point on, they started making some changes. Okay. And some of those changes, some of you were aware of them, some of you were not. Okay. We know that one of the greatest detriments to folks coming down here, and let's be honest, if you were like me, growing up where I did, unless you had a pond, a pool, or lake, a pond or lake that you can go jump in and thrash in the water, you didn't know how to swim. There were no pools in our backyards. We couldn't go down to the local hotel and jump in their pool, and there was no country club that would even let me in. So you see, the opportunities to go and splash around in water were very, very limited to us. So when we got to, most of us had kind of been consigned to having baths. That was about the most water we'd ever been in. And when it came down here and they threw us in that big old pool, I don't know about y'all, but that kind of freaks you out. But it was that swimming program we found out that was delaying a lot of folks because they would get caught up in the system. They have a test that they had to pass. Their classmates would continue on in stage until, and then they, once they passed, whatever class it happened to be, that's where they got stuck and put in. So bonding with their classmates was very little. And sometimes this would happen 2 or 3 times in stage while they're going through ground school. Okay. So by the time they finally got to the flight stage, guess what? They didn't know any of their classmates. And their classmates had formed all these bonds, all these study groups, had all this gouge, and they were sharing it among themselves, and guess who was not partaking of it? Yes. So when they were taking tests and getting information of how to fly radials, well, guess who was not getting it? So there was also a cadre who said that they didn't care what the Civil Rights Act passed and that it ended legal apartheid and the Jim Crow in this country. They were still going to do like their dads had did and their granddads had did. And they didn't think that people who had a little more melanin in their skin could be as competitive as they were. Okay. So selectively, they deselected us. And when the CNO got this report about all the discrepancies in naval aviation, he realized that there was some institutionalized bias that needed to be revised. Okay. So over the years, started putting people in programs. We started developing equal opportunity programs. We started putting folks like you and I that were doing recruiting. Okay. And we went out and we found folks like us, and we brought them in, and we started mentoring them. And although none of you are aware of this, many of the folks whose names you've heard were working well behind the scenes managing your careers, and you weren't even aware of it. Okay? So if you got a set of orders that you didn't think you needed, okay, or you didn't want it, and you questioned, it was because perhaps someone was behind the scenes manipulating your career so that you would go as far as you possibly could in this organization. So our numbers begin to grow, believe it or not. And By the time we got into the 90s, we were now numbering into the 200s. Wow. I say wow because Albert Chambers was the third one of us to get his wings, behind Jesse Brown and Lieutenant General Peters. You know, some 20 years later, I got my wings, and I was still in the 70s of the people of color who had received their wings. So you see, we had a long way to go. So when they started breaking down barriers and putting things in place, planks that we could walk on, achievements that we can look back on and say, we did that. Okay? Reaching back, helping one another, building that camaraderie. So by the time we got around to the early 90s, mid-90s, like I say, our numbers had absolutely grown to in the 200s around about that time. And it was about that time that Big Jim Smitty says, you know, y'all should have a reunion. And on that note, I'm gonna turn it over to Craig so he can give us a little bit more insight on the history of the Black Naval Aviators reunion. Come on up, Craig.
Okay, good evening. How did we get here? Black Naval Aviator Reunion. Black Naval Aviator Reunion was founded in August 1996 at the OBAP convention in Las Vegas, Nevada. We were in the hospitality suite, solving the problems of the world as we always do. Everybody knows about the hospitality suite, right? Okay. And James Smith, affectionately known as Big Jim, said that we had been talking about doing this for years. And he said, let's do it. And we set Veterans Day weekend of 1996 to do it. And we had about 3 months to get started. So there were a couple of people who still lived in Pensacola, Cliff and I. We got deputized and we went out and started working on this thing. We had to find a place. So we had one place that we knew, that we all know, formerly known as the Ambassador Club. So we knew we had that in our back pocket. So we had to find another place. So we went down to Trader John's. Everybody remember Mr. Trader? We told him we wanted to have a gathering of African American aviators, and he said, sure, come on down. And that picture there, as you see, November, I forget the exact date, 1996, there's Mr. Trader laying on the floor, and a lot of us that are in this room right now are in that picture. And what we'd like to do a little bit later is for those of us that are here, try to recreate that picture. And for those of you that know Mr. Trader, he has the first dollar that he ever made. He was a very thrifty individual. He actually bought us a couple of rounds of drinks. And he welcomed us that night. He welcomed us back later on. So as far as the reunion is concerned, we didn't have a formal setting or anything like that. So what we did it out of our homes. My house, Cliff's house, we have burger burns, barbecues. Miss Pearl, Cliff's mother, cooked gumbo. We had rib cooking contests. So we kind of built it from the grassroots to what you see today. So that's how we got here. Big Jim, our leader, our founder, is not able to be with us because of a previous commitment, family-wise, but he sends his regards. And 29 years later, this is where we are. Okay, so the next part of the program, something that we do, unfortunately, is we do a tribute to the fallen aviators, the people who have left us since we last gathered in November of 1923. I know for a fact one of our brothers that was with us, Dan McElroy, in November of 2023, passed away about 4 months later. It was pretty fast. We know our good brother Wayne Fridge, we're going to talk about him a little bit, Cross. He left us last month. So, Is there anybody, and we don't, because we transgress so many different generations, year groups, commissioning sources, ALCS classes, so is there anyone who has not previously been recognized prior to this year that anybody knows of?
Yes. We had a little loss just a few months ago of one of our young lieutenants. And his sister has shared with us a tribute, and I told her that I would convey it to all of you. Okay, so we get we exchanged a number of emails. Wow. Just in my hand. All right, so forgive me a quick sec. I thought I just had it there. Boy, I'm having some embarrassment today, aren't I?
No one's in a hurry.
Okay, I'm not sure. That didn't pop up. Here we go. Now we're getting so okay. I just need to scroll down a little bit further. Okay, so it's from Savannah Clark. Savannah lost her brother, Christopher CJ, a little bit earlier. And so she asked if I would share this with all of you this evening. My brother is Christopher C.J. Clark. We're a year and a half apart. And he was the kindest and gentlest soul. He was a Navy pilot 2 years behind me and flew helicopters. He had the most unique way of making you feel heard and cared for. He was stationed in San Diego, which incidentally is where he was born. He was a proud member of the HSC 23 Wildcards, and we miss him every second of every day. Born 22 December 1998, flew home to heaven on 11 August 2015. That's from Savannah. Thank you. I'm sorry. Yeah, we got 2025, sorry.
Next, Dan McElroy will be recognized by Mike Jones.
Mike.
Yeah. A couple years ago, Dan had one trip with Southwest into San Diego. Calls me up. We get together, go to lunch, and it was there that he convinced me, because I hadn't been back to the reunion for quite a few years, that I needed to come back. And so he talked me into it, came back down, and Dan, for all of those who know him, was the most upbeat, caring guy in the world, do anything for you in the world, had the biggest smile on his face all the time. And he graduated from the Naval Academy, 1981. I met Dan in Oceana when he was going through the F4 RAG, VF 171. I was stashed there waiting to start flight school because I just finished AOCS and there was a big backlog. And so Dan and I became close friends there. So he finished the RAG there, went over to Japan, spent a tour, I think VF 161 it was. Left there after 2 or 3 years, came back to the Naval Academy, which he graduated from, like I said. Spent a couple years there, then he went back to San Diego, to Miramar, and transitioned to the F-14s, Rio and the F-14. And so Dan did all that, eventually getting out of the Navy, And in the mid-90s, he decided he wanted to fly because he had been a Rio, so he went out and got all of his qualifications and got hired, worked for a commuter for a little bit, then he went to AirTran. AirTran got bought by Southwest, and he ended up being a captain, Southwest, and that's where I'd seen him. And we all were here the last reunion. And like Craig said, 4 months later, after that, we started hearing that Dan was in the hospital, and his daughter Opal was there with him, and his ex-wife Susan was there to be with him the whole time. Ended up having a brain tumor. We all thought he was getting better. The emails and the text messages flying back and forth between a bunch of us here in the room, and it was a big shock to all of us when we got the message that Dan had passed away. So we really miss him, and I'm sure he's here looking down, laughing at us right now. He's a great guy. All of us that knew him, a wonderful person. So we miss Dan. So here's to Dan.
Thanks, Mike. Is there anyone else that has not been previously recognized or that we need to recognize that is not with us anymore? Okay. All right, the next thing we're going to do is we're going to do a special tribute to Commander Wayne Fridge Cross, United States Navy, retired. Fridge, I'll start off. Fridge was my friend, my fraternity brother, neighbor. I met him as a student and watched him go from a student to an instructor to become a family man. And his loss has affected me deeply, and we're still trying to grapple with it. We heard from him, I guess it was about, a month ago? A little over a month ago. He called us on a Saturday morning and said, I got some issues and I'm not doing good, but I'm fighting it. And a week later, he passed. And it hurts, it hurts. So we did not get a chance to do the Omega service as we do for Brothers of Alpha Phi for Fraternity Incorporated at his homegoing because of the timeline, but we're going to do a special tribute to him now. Is there anyone else that wants to offer words in tribute of Fridge before we get started?
Good afternoon. So, aviation has been in me and instilled in me through my Uncle Fridge, Mr. Cliff, Mr. Folks, Mr. Greg. I'm losing it because I'm not good at talking. So, I was the first kid to ever go through the Daniel Chapter James Flight Academy at 6 or 7 years old. Before the Daniel Chapter James Flight Academy, I flew with Big Fridge, as they call him, my Uncle Wayne, Mr. Folks, Mr. Craig, and Mr. Curtis. Which Mr. Curtis, I'm gonna say, is like a father to me, and I can never take back anything that I've learned from these men. As a man, I've made mistakes. But as a man, these men taught me how to overcome from the mistakes I've made in life and overcome and do better. So I set out to be a pilot. I dropped out of school. Got my GED. In 07, I joined the military as an air traffic controller in the U.S. Army.
Yeah.
6 years I gave to the U.S. Army, 2 combat tours in Afghanistan at Bagram, Fob Sheikh, at Kandahar, Fob Wolverine. But I can only give thanks to the men that was set in front of me to help me guide my path, which is the great men that we're talking about today. So my Uncle Wayne was a great guy. He taught me how to fly. I guarantee I was probably in a plane at 5 years old. Given the controls, you could take them for a little bit, turn a little bit, turn a little bit, If I land, I'ma land. Give it back to me. And Mr. Cliff and Mr. Folks and Mr. Craig, they did me the same way. We used to go out and fly all the time. But not only did I learn from the program, but I got to give back to the program growing up. So when I joined the military, I did get to come home and I did get to stop and show love to the community and the kids and teach them. So now I'm 80% disabled. Going to school for IT and cybersecurity with a business that I'm a prime federal contractor. And I give that to the men that I spoke on today. Great men. My uncle was a great man, and when I say he's given me so much, and he was the one that forced me, because I didn't want to go. I was a hardhead. I didn't want to go, but he forced me. He honestly forced me and told me, now that I look at it, I can say, Uncle Wayne, I appreciate you. I love you. And Big Fridge, you will never be forgotten.
Okay, at this time I'd like to ask all brothers of Alpha Phi Alpha Fraternity Incorporated come up for the singing of the hymn. Jeremy, if you come up one more time, please.
Right.
On behalf of the Black Naval Aviator Reunion, we have a plaque,
my wife already.
and I'm going to read it. Black Naval Aviators Appreciation Award, presented posthumously to Wayne Fridge Cross in recognition of their significant contribution to the Black Naval Aviators of the Sea Services 2025. Also, we have the 2025 Black Naval Aviator Reunion ball cap. If you would make sure that both of these get to Mr. Rhea, we'd greatly appreciate it. Thank you, sir. All right, next, on behalf of the General Daniel Chappie James Flight Academy, Cliff Curtis is going to read a proclamation in recognition of Wayne Fridge Cross.
Good evening, everyone. Myself, Craig Abernathy, Mike Folks is not here, and Mike Griffin. We are all the founders of the General Daniel Chappie James Flight Academy here in Pensacola, Florida, in honor of Pensacola's own General Daniel Chappie James. Fridge, just like Jeremy said, has been a supporter of the youth of Pensacola forever. And he was with us from the inception of the Chappie James Flight Academy that started in 1996, flew our kids around, always was bringing kids to our academy to get involved in STEM, aviation, or whatever he could do. It was always a phone call, no matter where Fridge was, whether it was in Virginia or it was in Orlando, wherever he was always thinking about the youth and bringing them into the best success that they can have. And Jeremy is a testament to that. We know the long journey, and it's just been great. So we want to honor him from the Flight Academy in loving memory of Mr. Wayne Fridge Cross. We, the founders of the General Daniel Chappie James Flight Academy, pause with profound respect and heartfelt sorrow to acknowledge the passing of our dear friend and supporter, Mr. Wayne Fridge Cross. Whereas Mr. Cross stood with the Flight Academy since its inception, lending his voice, presence, and unwavering encouragement to the mission of preparing the next generation for aviation and STEM opportunities. And whereas his strong commitment to the youth of Pensacola was evident in his tireless efforts to mentor, guide, and inspire them towards excellence, ensuring that every young person he encountered saw greater possibilities for their future. And whereas Mr. Cross' encouragements, generosity, and faith in our mission served as a cornerstone for the Academy's success. His legacy will be forever tied to many lives, uplifted through his mentorship and belief in education, service, and leadership. Therefore, be it resolved that we, the founders of the General Daniel Chappie James Flight Academy, extend our deepest sympathy to the family of Mr. Cross. We join you in mourning his passing, while also celebrating the extraordinary impact of his life. Be it further resolved that we honor his memory by continuing the work he supported so passionately, by fostering opportunity, mentorship, and achievement for the youth of Pensacola and beyond. Humbly submitted on this day with love and respect on behalf of the founders, General Daniel Chappie James Flight Academy, Captain Craig Abernathy, First Officer Mike Folks, Captain Michael Griffin, and Captain Clifton Curtis.
Before we close the section where we pay tribute to the fallen, is there anyone else that has not been recognized? Okay. Now we're going to ask Admiral Johnson to do a toast, if he would, sir, to those who are not with us anymore.
Good evening. This is a great opportunity for us to remember those who have gone ahead and departed the pattern. A quick moment of reflection, thinking about all the things that they've done, what they've meant to us, what they've provided us. And most of you might know I'm a little bit of a Navy historical fan. And there's one deep way that you can pay tribute to someone, and that's a traditional toast. And I would like to propose a traditional toast for those who have departed the pattern. I will start this tribute by saying, hip hip, your response will be hooray. And we'll do that 3 times. So in honor of those who have departed the pattern, we remember them fondly, and we hope we live up to whatever standards they might have passed on to us. In honor of them, hip hip. Hooray! Hip hip. Hooray! Hip hip.
Hooray! Thank you, sir. Okay, next on the program, we're going to ask Chris Moore, Captain Chris Moore, I'm sorry, UPS retired. He's going to offer remarks in tribute of the United States Marine Corps' 250th birthday.
All is well. Marines.
November 10th, 1775. What a wonderful year that was. Absolutely. Constitutional Congress, Continental Congress, decided that it would commission 2 battalions of Marines to support, in support of the Continental Navy. And I'd say from Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, Tun Tavern, the home of the 1st Marines. And since then, Marines have been from the halls of Montezuma to the shores of Tripoli and beyond. Marines have fought valiantly and bravely. We live in a time now where it may or may not be appropriate to mention a group of Marines that have been overlooked, in my opinion. 1942, the Marine Corps decided to diversify. At Montford Point, Camp Lejeune, North Carolina, Camp Johnson, the first black Marines were included in the Marine Corps. Very seldom talked about, but those Marines island hopped with the greater force of Marines during World War II. As a matter of fact, I had the pleasure of meeting a couple of them at the Montford Point Marine Association convention in Atlanta this past weekend. The oldest one was 104. The second oldest was 101. These guys were both had gone to Saipan. They had gone to Okinawa, and they were ready to go to mainland Japan. So in honor of the 250th birthday of the Marine Corps, can we all just say, happy birthday, Marine Corps. Happy birthday, Marine Corps. And while I have your attention, Craig asked me to mention as a retired UPS pilot, we just had a major accident. And yes, I knew one of the guys on the aircraft. UPS is struggling right now. We're having a hard time. But can we all, in their honor, just have a moment of silence? Thank you very much.
Good.
Thank you, Chris. Now, we're going to go into the recognition of our honorees. We're going to recognize Ensign Jesse L. Brown, United States Navy. There's a typo there that says CDR. That's my fault. I should have caught that. I apologize for that. No disrespect to the Brown family. Ernie Taylor is going to speak in tribute of Jesse Brown, and Ms. Pamela Brown Knight has graced us with our presence in recognition of her father. Ernie.
Thank you, Craig. After the introductions that we had last night, where you only had a minute, I'm reminded of Dr. Benjamin E. Mays when he says, I've only got a minute, only 60 seconds in it. Forced upon me, can't refuse it. Didn't seek it, didn't choose it. But it's up to me to use it. I must suffer if I lose it, give account if I abuse it. It's just a tiny little minute, but there's an eternity in it. And if you think about some of the things we talked about, that eternity goes by so fast. If I mention Tuskegee Airmen, I'm sure everybody in here can raise their hand and they can tell me the stories that they heard about the Tuskegee Airmen, some folks that they even met from that, and of course, the movie and the books. I'm sad to say, I don't think that we have that same knowledge, if you will, of naval aviation. And that's one of the things that this reunion does. It kind of brings us all together and we kind of look at it. So the person I'm here to talk about is the representative for our first African-American aviator. And Ms. Pamela Brown Knight is his daughter. Let me ask you, how many have seen the movie Devotion? Okay, that makes my heart feel so good. For the simple fact that if we didn't have that many hands, I'm going to tell you, and just in case you want to see it again, we're going to stream that tomorrow at 11 in the hospitality room. Just to give us that kind of feeling again before we go to the picnic and probably be the last opportunity for this reunion that we have that chance. And I think no better way just to kind of wrap our minds around it again and kind of look at, that's where we started. And we talked about the second African-American naval aviator, Marine, Lieutenant General Frank Peterson. Now, I don't know how many people can keep track of that stuff, but it's there. And we're so fortunate to have tonight with us number 3, okay? Admiral Chambers, Larry Chambers, he's here. So this is one of those opportunities where we have history walking and living still among us, and we need to take that opportunity. I remember my first time going to Tuskegee Airmen, and it was amazing walking around. People that I knew didn't even know that they were Tuskegee Airmen. They didn't talk about it. We have that same kind of history here, only it's moved forward how many years, because some of us, we got them in the room here, the first this, the first that. We're still making that history. So I think it's important for us to be able to kind of remember and recognize that history that we have even walking among us. And so Pam Brown Knight is going to give an opportunity to just talk to us just for a minute or two about her dad. But Pam, if you've seen the movie, you remember she was what? Almost 2. Matter of fact, Ensign Jesse Brown crashed near the Chosin River Reservoir on the 4th of December. Pam's second birthday was just shortly after that. So again, we got history living among us. Of course, you can say, well, she didn't really know much about him, you know, but she grew up in a family that did know and told her stories and things like that. So it was kind of interesting to see. And just a little bit of history about the movie. The movie was actually produced by the founder and CEO of Federal Express. His daughters were the producers, actually producers of the movie. And Pam, his daughter, has been interested and instrumental in trying to go back and find where the remains are and bring them back to the U.S. for interment in Arlington. So there's still things that are going on that as African-American naval aviators, we can kind of jump in and kind of help push that along because it's recognizing our heritage. So without further ado, my minute's up. I'm going to bring forward Ms. Pam Brown Knight.
Good evening. And I'd like to offer a disclaimer. I am not a public speaker, so bear with me. Thank you. I would like to tell you the story of Jesse L. Brown as I know it, because as he stated, I turned 2 on December 23rd of 1950 when my dad, after he had crashed. And I would like to thank all of you who played a part in planning this event. And I would like you to know that we truly appreciate it. My dad was the 4th child of 6. He had 5 brothers and 1 sister. And my father was a go-getter, if you understand. You know, he was born, my grandfather was a sharecropper in the state of Mississippi, and that, you know what that means. So he had a lot of things that he was told that he couldn't do. You can't go to the school, you can't drink out of the water fountain and things of that nature. So camp became his catalyst for doing whatever it was that he did. And he liked to, you know, where they lived was close to a airstrip, and there was a black watchman, and he would allow my father and his brothers to go and sit in the cockpit, and eventually he allowed them to taxi down the runway. And I think that's part of the beginning of my father's love for flying. Now, they used to have a story that said that one day he was in the cotton field and he looked up and told somebody that one day he would fly one of those airplanes. And my mother said that was not true, but you know. So anyway, it was, you know, throughout the years in going to events like this, I've learned a lot about my father because you know, as I said, I did not know him to know him, you know, and when I would ask questions, my, you know, mother, of course, was kind of reticent about trying to talk about him, and my uncles, they were, you know, crybabies, I guess you'd say. And whenever I would ask, you know, questions, they would start crying. So I just said, well, dang, I need not to ask any more questions. So the only thing I got from other people was that my father was a good man. He was smart. He didn't drink. He didn't smoke, and he didn't cuss. So in the movie, you did hear him cuss, but that was, you know, Hollywood licensing. So, and again, you know, there's one story that my uncle used to like to tell, and that's the story because my father was a very, you know, smart man. And it tells about the time that there at the university, it was a company that needed something, some kind of pipe or something that they needed to run this company. And they had gone to University of Southern Mississippi. It was called something else back then. And they had gone to the local high school. Finally they went to the all-black high school. And my daddy, they told him what he wanted, and he made that piece, and they were able to do it. And he was told that if he had been white, his college education would have been paid for, but they only paid him $25 for that. But so, you know, I grew up with different stories like that. I know that when he went to Ohio State, he went there because his idol was Jesse Owens, who had just won, you know, in the Olympics. And my dad was a very good athlete, as you know, he was also in track, football. He liked to box and wrestle. So a lot of things of that nature. So anyway, he went there and he only had $980. to go pay tuition, try and find a place to stay and that kind of thing. And he did work on the railroad as a boxcar stocker during the night and went to school during the day. And he was in high school. He met my mom, of course, and they secretly got married, because my understanding that when you're in training, you're not supposed to be married. I don't know, but anyway, he married my mom in October, when he received his gold wings, October the 21st, 1948, I was born 2 months later, on the 23rd, so he had a lot to celebrate. And again, there's a lot of stories I would like to share with you, but I know we are stretched for time. And but he was, you know, a lot of times I used to be upset because I heard stories of how he was berated and talked to ugly about, you know, being in the service, and not only by his instructors, but also by some of his classmates. And you know, he used to go home and talk to my uncle, and they would go, and sometimes he cried, you know, because it was so hard for him. But they convinced him to continue, and I'm proud that he did. So my understanding, he got his, first he went to somewhere in Iowa for his training, and they shut that place down, and that's when he came to Pensacola to start working on his flight training. And so I would just like to continue by saying that we don't talk much about my dad's, the loss of him. We talk about our love for him, and we talk about the legacy that he has provided for us. And I would just like to thank all of you for continuing to help me make this a food, you know, something that people can enjoy and understand and applaud him for. And I would again like to say thank you.
Yes, sir.
How accurate would you say the movie would be to his actual life?
Well, you know, at my age and stage, I have to try and regulate things. But basically, it was mostly true to what had happened. You know, they took license. So, you know, the biggest misunderstanding, well, the thing was that at the end of the movie, they showed where my mom and her friend came home from shopping, and they found a letter in the doorway. But that was not true. And the way they made it, it seemed like they were still at Quonset Point. But actually, my mom had, once he went on the USS Lady, she drove home by herself with me as an, you know, infant and everything. So, actually, when she had gone shopping, now there's a story that said that, you know, my dad loved the car that they had. You know how you guys talk about cars. But anyway, the day that he died, they were going shopping, and when my mother got in the car wouldn't start. But when her friend got in under the wheel, the car would start. So, but anyway, they went shopping, and somehow, you know, they didn't have cell phones back then, but somehow they got the word that she needed to come back home, and the Navy personnel were there, and one of her friends who was a doctor was there, and that's when they told her that my dad had died. So that part of the movie was not correct.
Thank you.
So I just want to say, again, you recognize them, but all of the things that they've done at the hotel to make this stay fantastic for us.
Yes.
They're gonna set it up for us tomorrow morning. Like I said, we're gonna do the screening at 11 if you want to make that. And that might be another opportunity that we can actually talk to Ms. Pamela and ask her about some of the things in the movie as far as validity and all that stuff. So just, if you can make it tomorrow morning, please come on down and see the screening. Thank you, Ernie. All right, next, we're going to have a recognition of Admiral Lawrence Chambers, United States Navy retired, and that's going to be presented by Rear Admiral Arthur James Johnson, Jr., United States Navy retired.
Woo! Thanks, Craig. What a beautiful evening it's been. I like the direction it's gone. One of our main purposes here at the reunion is to connect our future with our past. I think there's a lot of strength in that. There's a lot of beauty in that, and we're on that thread right now. So thanks, Ernie, for getting it going. Good evening, everyone. Arthur Johnson is my name. It's my honor and pleasure to say a few words about our next honoree. As I mentioned yesterday, we find ourselves living in very strange times, full of leadership challenges left and right. No matter where you sit in your military service or with your commercial organization, those challenges are very obvious and very blatant. You can see it everywhere. And I'm often asked by people, what should I do when faced with these types of situations? And I'm very adamant, very vocal about what one can do when faced with these situations. And I would like to actively encourage you to intentionally stand and resist these misguided, miscalculated positions that you might see. And there's one very easy and positive way to do that, and that is to know your history and teach your history. Know your history and teach your history. Now, when I was growing up, I was an Air Force brat. Spent a lot of time in Texas and in Germany with General Chappie James. I was always excited to hear what people would say about him, and he was obviously somebody to be reckoned with and someone you didn't want to fool with. And as a young kid, that was very clear to me. And as I aligned myself more and more with an aviation career, I really began to gravitate towards the type of person he was and how he handled his business. And it was clear to me that this was my trailblazer, somebody that I can kind of role model and say, I want to be like that. This last couple days, I've been walking around talking to some of the JOs, some of the youngsters, and I've been asking them about their trailblazers. Whose shoulders are you standing upon? Do you know whose shoulder you're standing upon? Do you draw energy from them? Do you draw motivation? Are you empowered by it? And so that's my challenge for you today. And I want to remind the youngsters that you're here as a student naval aviator or student naval flight officer. And there's even some fleet folks here who are budding up and coming warriors. And you are here because our honoree was here before you. So I want you to let that sink in. If you answer no to any of those questions about whose shoulders you're standing upon, if you answer no to any of those questions, I want to introduce you to our honoree tonight, and I want to challenge you to go over, talk to him, shake his hand, and get to know him, positioning yourself in such a way it provides a reservoir for you to draw strength upon. Okay? So that's my challenge for you today. Our honoree, Admiral Chambers, was a 1952 graduate of the United States Naval Academy. He became a naval aviator, and as Ernie told you, number 3 in the African American aviation arena. Flew multiple platforms. I know in my Navy day, I always wished I could fly a lot of different airplanes. He actually did a lot. Eventually commanding a new A-7 Corsair II squadron. After a successful command at sea, he went on to become the first African American to command a aircraft carrier. Now, I can go on and tell you about this individual, but I won't, because we'll be here all night. But what I will ask the Admiral to do, and I'm known for deviating from schedule, so I know Craig says okay, so we'll go ahead and press on. After I present your recognition award, I would like for the Admiral to share one of my favorite stories to help some of our youngsters who may not know this story or know the individual that we have in our midst. I'll ask him to share that with you, and you can take that with you. You can stand upon his shoulders, just like a lot of us in here are doing. So I never get tired of hearing the story, and I hope that you will draw inspiration from it. So Admiral, if you'll come up, I have a little plaque I'd like to present to you. The plaque says, Black Naval Aviator Reunion Legacy Award, presented to Admiral Lawrence Chambers in recognition for your trailblazing contributions to the Black Naval Aviators of the Sea Services, 2025. We also have a Black Aviator Reunion cap for you, and you can add that to your collection.
All right.
Good evening. There is never a free lunch. They just fed me and now I'm expected to say something. When I see all of these beautiful people out here, I get frightened. You know, it's a black night, deck's pitching, you're sitting out at Marshall, and then you see a fireball off the front of the big boat, and you wonder, who in the hell was that? And you know, there have been many of those nights from all of these guys out here. But thank you very much for the recognition. I apologize, my wife wasn't feeling well, so anything I say tonight is the truth because she's not here to correct me. It's been a long, long time, and I am really thankful for the recognition. I appreciate the invitation to come out and be around a bunch of great aviators. And there were 2 or 3 of us in the beginning, and you know, Frank Peterson, most of you guys knew who he was. He was number 2 and a tremendous Marine aviator. He was the executive assistant to General Jastilka when I was in Bupers, and I called Frank and says, I'm going to beat all of your Marines in the upcoming Marine Corps Marathon. Beat all their general officers, not all of those hard luck machines. And we ran the marathon. I sent my time over to him. I says, I know I beat all of your generals, and my locker was clean. I was changing clothes over with the Marines, and they were all kind of nice. But I got a note from General Jastilka says, wait till next year. And let me tell you what they did. There was a hard lung machine just caught Brigadier out at El Toro. They flew that kid back to Washington to make damn sure I got beaten on the next marathon. But I was asked by Admiral to talk a little bit about the evacuation of Saigon, in which I had been in command of an aircraft carrier for 28 days, and I had a boss on board who was less than enthusiastic about me, about the ship, about what his job was. So I got together with his chief of staff and I said, look, we got to make that old son of a bitch look good, or it's going to be our butts. And so the 2 of us were working our you-know-whats off, trying to make the admiral looked good, and he called us both in one day and says, "You guys are conspiring against me." So when we walked out, I said to his chief of staff, says, "Nothing's changed. We still got to make the old, what, look good, or it's going to be our butts." So no, what happens? It's us. And we were involved in the evacuation of Saigon. And we were, there were 30 ships involved. There were 3 carriers involved. And we were the biggest vessel out there, and we had the deepest draft, and we needed the most sea room, so we were about 100 nautical miles off the beach at all times. Hancock was in a little closer, and then there were part of the force right up off the beach. And so it was basically a helicopter evacuation of Saigon. And it started during the day, and about halfway through the night, by the way, I had 10 HH-53 Jolly Green Giants. I had cleared off my flight deck and got rid of all the attack air. And the moment that happened, I looked out, boy, and that was the saddest day of my life, because all I wanted to do was be an attack carrier, and so now I'm stuck with these guys. And they had never made a carrier landing, and so I was worried about night landings, and they said, "Oh, I'll fix it." So when we got around to the nighttime, I turned the lights up. I turned the lights up so bad I was practically blinding my flight deck to make sure that these Air Force guys coming in could find out where in the hell the flight deck was. And I really didn't need to worry, because those guys were beautiful aviators, and I am so proud of what they were doing. And they were running back and forth. Each one of those big guys came by had as many as 200 to 250 people on board that they were rescuing. And yeah, there were no seat belts. They did have a few cargo nets around to kind of stabilize the crowd, but the Hueys, I had as many as 50 people get off of a Huey. And a Huey was designed for 10 combat-ready Marines or 10 combat-ready Army guys. And in another operation that I was involved in with the Hueys, that's another story. But when you're in that long, you got a lot of things to think about. But chaos all night long. Hancock had a crash on deck, and so she had 8 helicopters airborne, all low on fuel. And I cleared 2 spots on the bow, and the first 2 guys we brought in had less than 10 minutes of fuel to splash. So we got them a little bit at a time, got them all blocked up. And by the time I got them all topped off on fuel, Hancock had cleared the fire that she had on deck. And so I sent them home. But the next morning, this evacuation was still going on, and the aircraft, helicopters operating back and forth. When they got through the last part of it, and Saigon was being overrun by tanks, they didn't run out of fuel in Saigon. They were running out of fuel on the deck. So everybody pushed a helicopter or 2 over the side to make room for the other guys. And so we had plenty of space on the flight deck, and we were accumulating a huge number of assets, mostly Hueys, and the Hueys belonged to U.S. Air Force, they belonged to the U.S. Marine Corps, they belonged to the South Vietnamese Air Force, and they belonged to the U.S. Air Force. So not a single Huey that landed on my flight deck belonged to the Navy. And in the middle of the chaos of day 2, a little airplane came out and started circling the ship. And everybody thought somebody was trying to attack the carrier. I said, no, it was a Cessna. And so I said, we put our glasses on him, and we could see, in the helicopter, we could see the pilot. We could see what looked like a female sitting in back and looked like she was holding a baby, like she was holding a baby in arms. And then we could see one more soul, one head in the baggage compartment. So essentially there were 7 souls on this little airplane, and the admiral was yelling on my butt, telling me to ditch. Well, there's no way in hell these people are going to survive, because only 2 of the people in the machine were strapped in. And so called the air boss that we're going to make a ready deck. And I won't quote him directly because the wonderful words he said to me, he thought I'd lost my mind. I told him I'd give him some help. And I got on the ship's general announcing system, and I asked for all of the air department and air wing personnel who are not on watch to report to the flight deck to give the air boss some help in making a ready deck. So essentially, between 1,500 and 2,000 folks showed up on the flight deck to give the air boss a help in clearing the flight deck. And the only place they could clear the landing area, was to push them over the side. And so the air boss wanted to be sure I hadn't lost my mind and wanted to know why in hell I want to push all this over the side. But that was the only way we were going to make a ready deck. So we pushed them all over the side, and we turning into the wind. 8 more Hueys from Saigon plopped down without signal in the middle of the area that we had just cleared. And the boss wanted to know, what the hell are we going to do now? And I said, look, I'm probably going to go to jail before this operation is over. So 8 more Hueys over the side wasn't going to make a damn bit of difference about how long I spent in jail. And so we pushed those over the side and turned into the wind. I got 40 knots of wind over the deck. I wasn't that familiar with the airplane, but I figured the landing speed should have been somewhere around 150 to 160 knots at the most, and maybe a little less. And so I figured with 40 knots of wind on the deck, if he gets through, and all of you aviators have been around, you know when you get that high wind over the deck, you got that burble behind and it's rougher. And so I figured I'd done my part. I turned it into the wind and the deck's clear. So let's hope that he is a good enough aviator to make it. He touched down, or removed the cross-deck pennants. I figured those little bitty wheels, they weren't going to do anything. He didn't have a tail hook, so they were useless. And he touched down at where the 3-wire was, and he got to stop and taxied up. And by the way, where do you think that working party went that had helped to clear the deck? They went to Vulture's Row. So he had one hell of an audience as he was coming. I made a perfect landing at where the 3-wire was, and taxied off. He got out of the little airplane, and I had him escort him up to the bridge, and I took off my Navy wings of gold. I pinned him on him, and I made him an honorary Naval Aviator right on the spot. If anybody's dumb enough to think that he's going to come out and land on a damn aircraft carrier, he's never, you know, how many FMLP did any of you guys have before you went out to the boat? I know you had at least 10 tries on the beach in a flight, in a training command. And so he'd never practiced. And so you can only hope and pray. And of course the Admiral was still yelling at me about how wonderful I was. And about my parents. And so I figured, well, I got to live with this guy for the rest of my life. But he was not my boss. He was my administrative boss. But when that operation started, Midway was chopped to the Marines. And I had an admiral that was in charge of the amphibious force, and that's who my operational boss was. So you know, I'm working for 2 guys. One is saying, "Nice job, Larry." The other one is saying, "You're the dumbest son of a bitch I've ever seen in real life." So you can't win. I figured somebody was going to ask me about all of this stuff that I pushed over the side. But I will guarantee you, not a single thing I pushed over the side had U.S. Navy on it. And by the way, I must be a three-time loser because I was involved in the raid on Sante, and boy, that is probably the story you should have asked me about. And the other thing I was involved in, I was one of the battle group commanders when we were trying to rescue the hostages from Iran. And that was the biggest, you know what, that I have ever run into. But both that operation and the raid on Sante, the Special Forces uses both of those as examples of how to make it. But our problem with Desert Storm was communications. There were way too many things out there that we couldn't communicate with each other, and the operation was extremely complicated. They were going to launch the helicopters from the Nimitz. It was going to go to a spot we called Desert One in the middle of Iran in the desert. And the CIA had come in and dropped infrared lights to outline a runway in one of the desert areas. And they had also pre-positioned some fuel, and there were some C-130s there also involved. And the helicopters didn't have long enough legs that they could make it all the way to the capital. So they were going to go to Desert One, refuel, and then go on to a spot just outside of Tehran. And then the next night, they were going to go take on the embassy, rescue the hostages. Another group of Marines were going to take over one of their bases, and that's where the C-130s were going to come in and take all those hostages away. That operation was so damn complicated, and we couldn't all talk to each other. And I think one of the biggest failures was our inability to talk. But they're now, so I'm either famous or infamous for two operations that, you know, we could have done a lot better, and we could have done a lot worse. But not everything you participate in is a winning proposition. And so Admiral Kirksey had the Nimitz group, and everybody that we sent on those Marine helicopters that we reconfigured for that operation, they were the Marine mine hunting helicopters, and once we used them, the Marines did not have any mine hunting capability after that because we lost all of those helicopters. And one of these days, you don't have to pay me, but I'll come give you the whole rundown on that. Unfortunate ladies, so my language is better tonight than it's been in a lifetime. But guys, thank you very much. You sure know how to make an old man happy.
Okay, wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. All right, so we've already presented the Legacy Award. Now we've got two more awards we're going to give out. The Spirit of the Reunion Award. The Spirit of the Reunion Award was originated in honor of Captain Charlie Tompkins, one of our most ardent supporters when we first got started, because of his devotion and his steadfast belief in what we were doing. This year we decided to give out two Spirit of Reunion Awards. The first Spirit of the Reunion Award is going to be given to Robert Tiny Helms. I spoke to Tiny. Tiny's working tonight. But we wanted to honor Tiny for his devotion to the cause just being a good man, a good brother, somebody we can always depend on throughout the years. So here's to Tiny. So since it's the 250th birthday of the United States Marine Corps, we decided to do things a little bit different. We decided to give 2 Spirit of the Union Awards. So the second Spirit of the Union Award winner is going to be Captain Christopher Moore, retired United Parcel Service. Rode around all day, you know, go ahead. Okay, Black Naval Aviator Spirit of the Union Award 2025, presented to Christopher Moore. In recognition of your selfless support of the Black Naval Aviators Reunion, your long-standing participation and contributions to the past, present, and future Black Naval Aviators are an indication of your dedication to our noble cause and are in keeping with the spirit of this award's namesake. All right.
Thank you. Can I say that I was at that reunion? Craig sent me on a task, so I missed that picture. What an honor. Thank you very kindly. I really appreciate this. And look forward to the next reunion.
And I was just asked at the last minute to recognize another individual. He's going to be mad. He's going to be so mad. But that's okay. We are so blessed to have in our presence the first managing director of powder hiring for United States major airline, Eric Henry. Managing Director of Powder Hiring for Delta Airlines, Blank.
All right, Rudy. Wow. Thank you. Thank everybody for the recognition. Here's the deal. I worked my way to that position because of people like Craig and Cliff. I first started doing management in 2001 with Air Training. I'm gonna give you guys some real statistics here that you need to know about. Air Training Airways had the most diverse pilot group in the industry. People don't know that. But I was the 5th black pilot hired there. How about that? Okay, so you have to get involved if you want to make the change. Okay? Number 2, I was the 4th black chief pilot in the industry. I don't know if people know that. 737 chief in Atlanta from a little airline, but it's important. People need to know that. You got to put in the work. Okay? Number 3, I was at home, retired from COVID from Southwest Airlines when Delta gave me the call, and I told them with all enthusiasm I could muster up. I said, "Go away, leave me alone. I'm not doing this." Okay? True story. And they went away and left me alone for about a week. And so, a week later, he calls me up. He says, "Eric, you really need to do this. You've done what they want and you've done a lot more." Well, after 3 interviews, they offered me the job and I went to work.
So I gotta tell you, so past weekend, Biscuit and I have been walking around with different shoes and people, "Where'd you get those from?" And so actually, the shoes that I have on, basically a Jesse Brown Squadron and his airplane number. On Wednesday, I wore a pair of shoes that were Tuskegee Airmen General B.O. Davis's airplane by request and his tail number on it. And people ask, where do you get this from? So, all right, here you go, guys. And ladies, it's iloveahanger.com, and that's hanger, H-A-N-G-A-R, okay? And, no, A-R. A-R. You know, pilots have a hard time spelling. Don't hold it against us. That's why I'm giving it to you now. And not only can you go in there and get, you know, the historical ones, B.O. Davis, Jesse Brown, but I'm told that you can also, for the active duty folks, or some of the retired folks, get your squadron's insignia on it. Now, you might have to do it in bulk, you know, to help you, but just want to know, it's iloveahanger, H-A-N-G-A-R.com, and maybe at the next reunion, we can all be sporting our squadron's emblems and tail numbers, maybe the planes that we flew. So, just a thought. There you go. Thank you, Ernie. All right, to keep things moving, we're going to recognize a few sponsors. In our presence, we have Mr. Cliff Cousins from the City of Pensacola Mayor's Office. He'd like to come up and make a few brief remarks. I'm sorry, Collins. I'm so used to Cliff Curtis. I apologize.
Well, first of all, when the mayor told me I needed to come to this event, I said, do I have a speaking engagement? He said, no, you don't have anything to say. I was like, okay, just enjoy the festivities. Well, I gotta say, I am grateful and honored to be here. And I think if the mayor were here tonight, he'd probably say to you guys, the aviators, welcome home. This is the cradle of aviation. You earn it. You should be proud of it. There's no doubt in my mind about it. To the book, and I want to just kind of touch on the key things for me, the Jesse Brown story. I had a buddy of mine. He said, Cliff, you should read the book. And I was like, okay. Put it on my desk. Didn't read the book. So I was headed to a board in Mississippi. I had an 8-hour drive. I got the electronic version of the book. So I got halfway, actually a little bit past halfway through. Finished my board, and I'm on my way home. And I get to the point in the story where, and I didn't cheat, but I get to the point in the book where the plane crashed, and there's this traumatic event going on. No kidding. I had to pull over on the side of the road, and I just bawled. I just cried because I felt the moment. I felt every movement, everything that he had been through. And so for you young kids, when I see you, and I think about you guys, and you think about, well, I walk in the room, and I'm the only one. You should think of yourself as the one, not the only one. It's perspective. It's how you look at yourself when you get in that room. You earned it. You did everything you need to do to be in that room. You should act like it. You are the one. Admiral. So the admirals in this room, and sir, great stories. I spent most of my years in FDNF. And in my entire career, 15 roughly years from enlisted to officer, I never seen a minority command a carrier strike group. I never seen a minority command a carrier. For you to be there at that time, when we needed you in that environment, is amazing. It is amazing, and you are one of the giants that paved the way for so many of us. I don't think I've ever would have had the opportunity to go from E1 to 06 without you and without everybody in this room that helped me along the way. And so for you guys, I think the message is clear. It's how do you now pave that way? I can't remember the gentleman.
how do you be more strategic about what you do right now? You really have to think about that. It's important. The times have changed. What I went through is my story. What you go through will be your story. And you guys, at some point, will switch seats and you'll be in this audience. So, again, on behalf of Pensacola, the city of Pensacola, welcome home to all the aviators who came through this pipeline. You earn it. You're part of this process, so thank you so much.
Also would like to recognize, back in the back, we have the owner of the only African-American TV station in Pensacola, who's filming in the back there, Mr. Vernon Watson from WBQP. He's also an Air Force veteran, and myself and Mike Griffin had the pleasure when we were flying C-130s at Duke Field to be working alongside Mr. Watson.
Can I say something for a minute?
Yes, sir. You certainly can. Come on.
You said Air Force veteran. I'm proud. I'm proud to be an Air Force veteran. But I started off in the Navy. I want to know, and I got some kinship to you guys as black aviators, okay? One of my assignments in the Navy, and I too started off enlisted from enlisted officer, but one of my jobs in the Navy, I was stationed at the Naval Aviation Schools Command, which is the home for the Aviation Candidate School. How many went through the AOCS? Okay. I taught there from 1974 to 1976. Anybody was in that era? Were you? Okay. Very good. Okay. Now, all right. And I tell that story because I was an enlisted member, the only, first and only, I don't know who came after me, but the first enlisted member to teach academics at AOCS, okay? And so I was very proud of that. And I had an opportunity to see very few of us to go through that, but there was some, that's what I wanted to see, how many hands that was there during that time at AOCS. Because you got there one of three ways. You went to the Naval Academy, you ROTC, you came out of college to be there. And so I feel I feel proud of that. And I got a special kinship to the black naval aviators. And I like to say that I had a little part to contribute to that when I was 9. Like I told Clifton the other day, we also served in the Air Force as well. He went to the Air Force, so he was flying A1C, what were they, AC-130s?
I wanted to fly the AC, but they wouldn't let me.
They wouldn't let you?
I was flying the MC and AC-130s.
Okay. Well, I was flying the desk. I was flying the desk at the same time, so we got that in common as well. So I just want to thank you, and Admiral, I'm well aware of the story, your story. I studied that story, and I'm so proud. I'm so proud that I had the opportunity to see you and meet you in person, because it always stuck with me, you know. And when I was coming through the Navy, we saw very little of us, our color. I never saw, in my time, I never saw a black commanding officer, let alone a black admiral. Okay, so thank you for all that you did. Thank you.
Okay, hey, ladies and gentlemen, I really appreciate everybody's patience this evening. We're going to wrap this up with our last big thing, which is going to be our last sponsor for this event this year, since we became a 501c3 now, is United Airlines. So they're one of our big sponsors. And so with that, they have provided us with 2 tickets Each ticket is worth $2,600 that we're raffling off this evening. I know a lot of you have already gotten your raffle tickets. If you want to get another raffle ticket, you got like literally 3 minutes. 3 minutes to see my wife over here on the side by the door. If you're trying to get a raffle ticket before we do this, we're selling them 1 ticket for $10, 3 tickets for $20. So if you're trying to get a ticket, you got 3 minutes to see my wife right there. In the meanwhile, United Airlines did provide us this video that we would like to play for everyone. And it kind of shows, you know, their diversity efforts that they have put forth and where they do their concentration at as well. And things like, even though I'm a FedEx pilot, but still got to love United and the things that they're doing. So, run it.
That we were going to be the best, we could be even better than others. After college, we all went our separate ways. Some went to flight instructors, others ended up at Naval Aviator. I joined the military. So Joel and Dave got hired first at Continental. Literally, they were shaking the hand of the gentleman who hired them. They were asking about me. We were hungry, we worked hard, we pushed each other. We wanted this dream and we were not going to accept anything less.
And got to fly 77 at United. Each one of these guys has played a role in what I'm doing today.
Our friendship goes beyond just fellow students and peers. It really has. We stood the test of time. It's incredible that we are in a position now to reflect the trajectory of the next generation path. And you just show them opportunities that I didn't believe that I had when I was younger.
I think travel in general for a young African American to just go to another state or even go to another country and experience what other people have to offer in different cultures. It opens up a world for that individual. Aviate is a great program that United has put together, and it will help increase diversity in the cockpit.
My own son is interested in becoming a pilot. He's majoring in aviation, and the hope that he'll also follow my footsteps and work his way up to becoming a pilot.
The fact that we all ended up here at United is kind of like a storybook ending, because this is where we all dreamed to be. This dream has gone beyond our love of flying. It's become a love for each other. We're always there for each other, and always will be.
How's everybody doing tonight? How's everybody doing tonight? Well, first of all, I'd like to thank you all for coming out and sharing this time with 1216 North. I'd like to thank Cliff and the staff for choosing us to share this special moment. I want to let you guys know that you're truly special. It's my wife Tracy right here. It's the Tracy. Hence, if you look on the register, Tracy B Gallery. That is Tracy B right there. So again, being in aviation from the Navy, I was not a pilot. I was an air traffic controller out in Sherman Field.
Oh, they need you.
Somebody asked me that the other day, and I said, well, man, I don't know reason to go back to work if I'm not going to get paid right now. But anyway, you guys are truly, truly special, and we want to thank you all, the Black Aviators Association, for sharing this time, this night with us. We really, really, really appreciate this. It means more to us that this was being able to be hosted here. You guys, this is near and dear. My wife been trying to get my son to be a pilot forever since he came out the womb. And to the Chappie James Flight Academy, thank you all so much for what you all do. Everybody that inputs on that. My son and daughter has gone through that. They wouldn't let me go through it. They said I was too old. Go figure. But thank you all. Thank you all. Thank you all. We have a bar set up out here for you. There's one in the front. But again, we're going to stay as long as you want. We got DJ. We're going to party up because this is a celebration of Black aviation. Thank you all.
Okay, folks, think that pretty much concludes the program. Are there any by the ways? If anybody has anything they'd like to bring up, like to say briefly? Going once. Going twice. Good point. Any of the SNAs want to say anything? Student Naval Aviators? Students? Anyone want to say anything? Going once? Going once? Going twice? Okay, that concludes the formal ceremony. Have a good night.